Good morning, podcast listeners. Thank you for tuning in to the Turn It Up Live show. This show is brought to you by Turn It Up Productions and WDAP Radio. How y'all doing out there in Radio Land? Just want to thank God for another opportunity to be before you on this beautiful Saturday morning. So we're gonna get right right into it. So listen. We've had a long week, but there's one particular subject that I'd like to discuss that happened. That was a very tragic situation that happened this week to a very positive brother out in L.A. But before we get into the show, I want to introduce to you some new to others, to some of us new, but to others, we know him very well. Mr. David Allen, thank you for accompanying me on this show today.
Good morning, my brethren. Good morning.
How are you, brother?
Good, man. God blessing me, man. Every time I open my eyes and be able to see another brand new day.
Yes,
man,
sir.
It's an awesome thing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I always, gracious that you're here and, your presence on the show, man. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you, especially in the Western New York area, for all that you're doing and what you're going to do. So listen, I want to talk about what happened, this week, the killing of the rapper Nipsey Hussle, by murder suspect Eric Holder, in L.A. in front of his store. And, it really touched a lot of the young people, the generation of today, in a special way. Very tragic situation.
Right.
And so, for our show, for what I do here with Turn It Up, I like to get to the root of the issue.
Right.
We know some of the details of what happened, and hearsay and this and that. But only those two gentlemen know actually what happened. With confrontation and what led up to
that.
Yeah, Eric, Mr. Holder doing what he did. And so there are many lives that have been affected.
Oh, yeah.
By...
And it always is. I mean, anytime something like that happens, man, it goes further than most people can even see.
Yeah. And I know he had a couple kids and the young lady that he was dating, and his family, and everybody that's impacted in the music world and so forth. So, I just wanted to lay down a foundation because on our show, as I mentioned, we like to get to the root of situations that happen, in all of us. So when you look at it, whatever happened, especially as we focus on Eric, and what caused this brother to turn around and shoot, at these men, ultimately killing Hussle.
Right.
So I'm going to start it off by pretty much giving you my take on a few things, and then I'd like for you to share your thoughts and your opinion on certain things. When I looked at the situation, I really it boiled down to the fact that this brother was already angry.
Yeah.
Okay, and the anger didn't start, with this confrontation, this situation with Hussle at all. This brother was already angry, hurting, and so forth. And that's a character issue. Yeah. At the end of the day.
But we spoke about that on the last show.
Exactly.
We spoke about that.
Yes, exactly.
That goes to show, and I want to talk about something else, because the mental health issue.
Yes.
That could be a big, major role in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Because they really haven't stressed it beyond what you see from the surface.
Right, absolutely.
And they probably going to find out some other things.
Yeah. Well, David, when we talk about this mental health aspect of it, me personally, as I get older and I look at my life and I look at other people around me, the mental health issue is not about people that are crazy or that are in a mental institution.
Right.
We all got some mental issues going on in some capacity, whether it's been through life experiences, our own emotions, dealing with our own emotions, and situations, negative situations that have happened to us throughout our lifetime, relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that we do in life impacts us, every situation. So when you say the mental capacity, mental health, that's a fact. Or someone even dying in your family, you losing a loved one. That has a mental effect on us in some capacity.
And I think now people are becoming more aware of mental health issues, because a lot of times back in the day, what's going on in the house stayed in the house.
Right.
It's no longer in the house anymore.
Right.
It's more so now you out and about and you see it.
Right.
And you can't camouflage it.
Right.
You can't hide it.
Right.
Either you're going to be who you are or you're going to be somebody else.
Absolutely.
And I think now the attention that's coming on to it is a great thing, because issues.
Right.
We all have issues. I got issues.
Right.
You know, but it's how you handle things and the capability of handling.
Right.
And then if you can't manage within yourself, then you got people that you can talk to, like your clergy, your pastor, or you can go to an EPA through your job. Right. So there's other options, but the thing of it is recognizing something is wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
That's the whole key.
Right. That's the beginning there.
That's the beginning.
Absolutely.
Recognizing something is wrong.
Right.
I could be smiling all day, but when I go home, man, and I got to face the music.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And David, I think that at the end of the day, I mean, you hit on something that's very, very, very key. The mental stability of us as human beings. At the end of the day, you look at this young man, and we have no idea what his history was prior to this situation. And we label him in some capacity, as crazy. Because he did this. But again, like you mentioned, you said, how are things handled? How is life handled by each individual? Now, I believe this gentleman was about 21 years old.
Okay.
And he was a gang member, and he was hustling with hustle.
Okay.
At one time. Right. And and there's all kind of things that could have sprung up. I don't know how close they were. There's been some conversations that took place before the shooting.
Okay.
Between the two. Matter of fact, I was informed that there were 3 conversations.
Wow.
Small conversations prior to him the third time gunning those gentlemen, shooting at those gentlemen. So, at the end of the day, what did Hustle say to him?
To prompt that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't know that at the end of the day. So it's almost like, these boys was gangbanging, from what I hear, and then Hustle changed his life. He wanted to do something different, do something positive. At the end of the day, that young man could have looked at that situation and been like, yo, dude, you left me out. You left me behind.
Yeah.
We're right. We're not sure, so, I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit, because again, it's a character issue. You know what I'm saying? Which we all have.
We all have it.
Right. And that is the foundation of my show, and that's why I come on air here and talk about these things, because at the end of the day, we really don't focus in on the issues, the foundational issues of why we do what we do.
Man. And it's funny that you say that, because I'm working with some people that's trying to put on a mental health gala, and we did a taping this past week.
Okay.
And we just did it like a round table.
Right.
And just by talking, letting things out, found out some very interesting things, because one person that was in the group said if he had spent a little more time with a cousin of his, he could have saved his life.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how deep it got.
Wow.
And he said because the next day he took his own life.
Wow.
And all he had to do was spend a couple minutes with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
and that impacted that man.
It impacted him
Right?
to this day.
To this day.
To this day.
Right,
yeah.
right.
You know.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because again, I never publicly told this story, but my younger brother, Andre, he died suddenly in a fire down in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It's ironic that I remember the Sunday before it was, let me see. It was on a Sunday, and then someone came to my house to inform me that my brother had passed. Mm-hmm. It was on a Monday when I found out. But that Sunday before, in that evening, I remember I was sitting with my family, and we were sitting on the couch. I was laying on the couch, and we were watching TV, and the phone rung. Mm. And the phone, cordless phone, was up under the couch.
Okay.
And the phone was ringing, and they were like, "Okay, who's going to answer the phone? Where's the phone at?" So
right.
I didn't get off the couch, right? And the phone was ringing, and it was my brother.
Wow.
He called me. Mm-hmm. He died that night, but he called me, and I never took his call.
Wow.
And that impacted me for a long time. For many years, I kept that secret to myself, and it was eating at me.
And it goes back to what we just talked about. Mm-hmm. If you had took that time out,
right,
to say, "Hey, bro, how you doing?" Blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Could have made the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But now you had to live with that,
right?
And nobody could,
right,
be that comfort for you because you had to deal with it within.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in dealing with it, what I would recommend to some of our listeners is at the end of the day, when we talk about the mental health aspect of it, when we talk about being angry, and the issues that we deal with as it pertains to our character, that it's always good to seek after some constructive counseling, someone that you can sit down and talk to about your issues. And on the flip side of that, even though we're sitting here talking about something negative, there are positive things that we do that in some shape or form is too much of something because of something that happened. Right? Mm-hmm. So case in point, you can be a person who has felt like you didn't give to your children. You didn't have it. And all of a sudden you came into some money. And then all of a sudden your grandkids come along and you just give them whatever they want. Right. Even though that's a positive thing that you can give to your kids, things have changed. There's a possibility that you could end up spoiling them.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Based off of the fact that you just keep giving because you're trying to make up.
And not give them the opportunity to fend for themselves, because a lot of times we don't get the basic life skills.
Right.
Say for instance, you and I go camping.
Right.
Now we got to fend for ourselves.
Right.
In the woods.
Right.
Basically, do what we can do.
That's right.
Versus being spoon fed.
Right.
So, well, here's some lunch. Here's some beans, franks,
right.
cans, beans, whatever.
Right.
And
right.
you go out there and make you a fire and you cook them. And,
right.
And you go on.
Right.
But I learned those things in the Boy Scouts way back when.
Right. Right.
But I think right now is the capacity of us giving our kids more than overstating what we give them, versus teaching them life skills.
Right.
I think it was said way back when, if give a man, teach him how to fish, he'll eat all day long.
Right.
But if you give it to him,
right.
He ain't gonna go no further than that.
That's right. Absolutely.
So,
he's gonna be looking for you to give it to him again. At some point, right?
There you go.
So yeah, I mean, and so there is, on both sides of when you talk about the mental health capacity, it's important for us to realize that at the end of the day, there are organizations that can help you become more stable And because again, this whole thing about feeling guilty, you know, feeling guilty of something. So the mental health issue that we face in our society today has always been around. It's just that,
now
you know,
it's
coming to more light, you know, because at the end of the day, people don't think that they have issues.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
People don't really think that they situation, you know, in other words, other people have situations that are worse than mine, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? When at the end of the day, you're not good.
Yeah.
Right? Because in a minute, you'll go off on somebody.
Yeah. And
right?
It may not be me deserving of you going up on them. You know, and then you might get the short end of the stick.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Just because.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, is life skills, life learning, and being able to adapt. Because I'm going to give you a little history on me. When I was a bus driver, I had to be a counselor. I had to be a friend. I had to be all kinds of things.
Wow.
And when I'm on that bus, I had to adjust to whatever somebody came at me with.
Okay.
And what made me rethink my thinking was when I would say, "Good morning, have a nice day," somebody would say to me, "What's so good about it?" And I had to come back and say, "Well, you're alive, aren't you?"
Right.
You're breathing, you seeing me, you walking,
right.
But then I don't know what you went through before you got here.
Right.
You know, you could have been issues at home.
Right.
You know, and but that made me learn because I knew then I couldn't just say something. I had to be more correct with it.
Right.
Because I was their first defense when they opened their day.
Gotcha.
I was the first one they gonna see.
Gotcha.
So I was setting this tone right then and there. First day when I opened the door.
Okay.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what's so good about it?
Right.
I ain't had, so I had to think about that.
You had to come up with something constructive, right?
Yeah.
Something positive.
You know, so I had to come up with my PhD and say, okay, let me rethink my thoughts.
Yeah. That's right.
You know, and I drove in the community which brought and raised me. You know, 12 to 13 to 26 to Dublin, all in my area where I grew up.
Okay.
And I walked it, and I played there, you know, the whole night. So, for me, it was a way of saying, okay, I'm your friend. You need a friend, I'm your friend.
Right.
So, that gave me a new lease on life for me.
Right.
Because now I can help somebody else help their day.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Without charging them $100.
Yeah, right.
Get a free bus ride, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so listen, let's take this first call. All right. Caller, you are welcome to Turn It Up live. Go ahead with your question. Okay, so David, the question that the listener is asking is that when they look at the generational cycle that has led us up to today, they said that they have a question for you. They wanted to find out what is your opinion, what is your take on when you see how in society we have now accepted things that we didn't accept back in the day.
Well, I'll say this. Before you shoot off at the mouth, think about what you're going to say. I know you have a split second to think, but sometimes just thinking about what you're going to say to somebody can make or break the day.
Right. Yeah.
And I learned that.
Okay.
Just because of the simple fact, because somebody might not have a good night or not been able to eat.
Right.
You never know.
Right.
And you gotta say, okay, all right, let me not be so vicious. Let me kind of take it, you know.
Right.
And say, hey, you know, what the problem is.
Okay. Well, you know, my response to that, thank you, David, for that. My response to that is when you look at over time, of the human race, and certain things that you just don't say, you just don't do, places you just don't go, and so forth. And at the end of the day, those things have changed dramatically, because now those thoughts that we had and we kept them private, and didn't discuss it or say it.
Right.
Now we live in a society where you say what you want to say,
how you
do what you want to do it, how you want to do it, and that goes back to my point of when you talked about the mental state and capacity, mental health, right, and the capacity of us as people. So if I got an issue, generational, right? If I got an issue. Because, mental health has always been around.
Always.
Beginning of time.
Always.
Right.
Always.
And
it ain't just popped up today.
Right, exactly. And you see how people are acting now today, right? And we relate it to mental health. That mental health person actually feels like, listen, I got a problem with what has happened to me, or I got a problem with what I see. So at the end of the day, it's my job, and I have the right and authority to go out there and do something to let you know that I'm mad at what has happened to me, or what's going on.
The repercussion of that.
Yeah.
Now that's a whole nother animal.
Right.
Because I think now with it's being on the mental health issue and the light that's on it now, people are now more saying, okay, let me kind of look at this a whole nother way,
right? Because
now it's an issue,
right?
Before it was an issue, but wasn't a big issue.
Right.
Now it's a big issue,
right.
And so now you being accountable,
right,
for that issue.
Absolutely, right. And so as we get ready to close the show out, one of the things that I wanted to mention, and this is very important. So I want my listeners to pay attention, really pay attention to what I'm about to share with you. When you talk about us as people, whether you're talking about the character of a person, their mental state of mind, the life skills, it has no color.
No.
So when we look back on this situation that just took place in L.A., Eric didn't see color.
No.
Eric saw another individual that brought out something in him, and he wanted to take care of the problem. So we got to get away. Listen, we got to get away from this black unity thing in the capacity that we are presenting it to one another.
Yeah.
Because again, look at it. Black on black crime. That's not a white person.
No.
That's not an Asian person.
No,
that's on black.
Somebody that looks like exactly. Like
Exactly. And so we gotta start looking at the fact that we just can't be unified when other races do something to our kind or our color. We got to look at ourselves and how we treat one another first.
Right. Yeah. And it starts at home.
It
really does. And I'm going to step one step further. It takes a village to really to communicate to what it really means.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
When we came up, I had the boys club. I had the YMCA.
Right.
I had people that looked at me and said, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that."
Right.
You know, you can do some other things besides doing that.
Right.
And thrive.
Right.
You know, so what I say to them now is, listen, it's a whole nother way to look at that.
Yeah, and it is. And it's a whole nother way because, again, why is it okay for us to use the N-word when it comes to each other, but then we don't want someone who doesn't look like us to use the N-word? See, to me, that we're confused, right?
Well, I'm gonna go another step further. It's been said we don't even know our history.
Exactly,
and I think that's a accumulation of us not sitting down at the dinner table and having that talk.
And having that conversation and sharing that information. Okay, well, listen, David, thank you so much for being on the show.
We can go further.
Yeah, man, we can go all day long.
But I tell you what,
yes,
give them your email and your phone number and how they can get in touch with you if they want to continue this topic. We can definitely hit on.
Okay, all right, all right. So, my listeners, this is Michael Anthony. You can reach me at michaelanthony.turnitupproductions.com. You can also give us a telephone call at 716-444-0836. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we look forward to speaking with you and sharing on our next show. Have a wonderful day and a great weekend.